Good morning. Is there a person who's seen all 6 Star Wars films that doesn't have an opinion on them? Especially the prequels. Everyone has an opinion on the prequels. Perhaps the most derided film trilogy of all time, but I don't believe they deserve it. Are they as good as the original trilogy? No. And I'm not going to argue that they are. Before I get into my main points, I think it goes without saying that there are spoilers contained within. However, what rock have you been hiding under that you don't know the greatest film spoiler of all time? The principal complaints that people have against the prequels tend to be that they are too digital, too fake looking, too perfect, too polished, too much green screen, and of course, Jar Jar Binks. Now, in regards to Jar Jar, watch the Clone Wars CGI series. Significantly better character development than he gets in the films. Much more well-rounded character. As for the others, there's an interesting metaphor that begins to expose itself as you watch the movies from Phantom Menace to Return of the Jedi. But first, a word on metaphors. You can find metaphors in just about anything, regardless of authorial intent. And of course, the strongest metaphors tend to be the ones that come out on accident without intent. Now, you may be aware of this, you may not be aware of this, but the 6 Star Wars movies pan the life of Anakin Skywalker, from a child in Phantom Menace to his eventual death in Return of the Jedi. The first movie, Phantom Menace, is cutesy and young, and then Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith tend to get a little darker and darker as they progress. This represents Anakin's descent into the dark side, becoming Darth Vader. Now, that's probably obvious, and Lucas probably intended you to see that. But what if we go deeper? What if we look at the way the movies were made? What if we look at the way they looked, the way they were shot, the effects? What if all of this is metaphorical? The prequel movies were set at the tail end of the Republic, a glorious time in the Star Wars universe. There was peace, and then there were the Clone Wars. The Jedi Order, while small, was not gone the way it was in the original trilogy. Now, the prequels did use an abundance of green screen and were shot on digital, which leads to this nice, pristine, smooth, clear quality to the film. Even 3PO was shiny, at least once he got his metal exterior. Now, this look represents the Republic and its times as it begins to fall into what would eventually become the Empire. And this smooth, polished look is in stark contrast to the original trilogy, which was shot on film and used a lot more practical effects, although some blue screen was used. The sets were real, raw, imperfect, representing the hopelessness that people were feeling, the despair people were feeling under the oppression of the Empire. This ragtag group of rebels fighting their rebellion against the Empire. All of this realness lends itself to a much darker time. And of course, 3PO is beat up as well. Now, I know I haven't said anything that's going to change anyone's mind about the prequels, but I really hope I've given you something to at least think about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Friday.